The most powerful woman in Europe just faced a political assassination attempt, and while she survived, the scars run deep. Picture this: 720 European lawmakers, a packed chamber in Strasbourg, France. But something's off. Over 160 seats sit empty. The absent politicians? They're sending a message louder than any vote could. This is the story of how text messages, a pharmaceutical giant, and Europe's biggest political scandal almost brought down the entire European Union leadership. Ursula von der Leyen. If you're American, think of her as Europe's president. She runs the European Commission, basically the executive branch of the EU. Former German defense minister, mother of 7, and arguably one of the most influential political figures on the planet. But on July 10, 2025, she faced something that's only happened once before in EU history, a vote that could have ended her career instantly. Here's where it gets interesting. During the COVID pandemic, while the world was desperate for vaccines, von der Leyen did something unusual. She started texting, not with her staff or other politicians, but with Albert Bourla, the CEO of Pfizer. These weren't just casual check-ins. According to court documents, these messages involved negotiating vaccine contracts worth billions of euros. We're talking about 1.8 billion doses, with prices jumping from 15.50 euros to 19.50 euros per dose. That's an extra 7.2 billion euros of taxpayer money. The problem? When journalists from the New York Times asked to see these messages under Freedom of Information laws, von der Leyen's office said they couldn't find them. Deleted. Gone. The Commission claimed text messages were short-lived and ephemeral, not important enough to keep. But here's the kicker. Just 2 months ago, Europe's highest court basically called that explanation nonsense. The judges said the Commission failed to provide any credible reason for not having these documents. They didn't even try to look for them properly. This isn't just about transparency. Remember, this is the same person who, as Germany's defense minister, used her phone to award contracts worth hundreds of millions of euros, bypassing public procurement rules. When investigators came knocking then, she deleted everything from her phone, too. Pattern much? So Romanian MEP Jorge Pipiera said enough is enough. He gathered 79 signatures, more than the 72 needed, and triggered this no-confidence vote. The accusations went beyond just the Pfizer texts. They included claims of misusing EU funds and interfering in elections in Germany and Romania. Von der Leyen's response? She called these allegations taken from the oldest playbook of extremists and suggested her critics were spreading conspiracy theories backed by foreign interests, basically hinting at Russia without saying it outright. The vote itself was never really in doubt. Von der Leyen's party, the European People's Party, is the largest group in Parliament. But the real drama was in what happened behind the scenes. To secure support from the Socialists and Democrats, she had to make major concessions on the EU budget and social fund. One EU law professor called it perfectly. She's now politically handcuffed, forced to choose between working with traditional centrists or the right wing, but unable to play both sides anymore. The numbers tell the story. 360 voted against the motion, 175 for it, 180 abstained. She survived, but those 160-plus empty seats, that's the real headline. These politicians didn't vote against her, but they made sure everyone knew they weren't supporting her either. The European Parliament Vice President warned this was von der Leyen's last chance. The upcoming budget debates are expected to be brutal, and the European Public Prosecutor's Office, they're still investigating those vaccine contracts. What makes this even more significant is the timing. Europe faces what economists call an existential economic challenge. They need massive reforms to compete with the US and China. The last thing they need is a weakened leader dealing with internal political warfare. But here's what really matters for the rest of us watching from outside Europe. This vote exposed something bigger than one scandal. It showed how the EU's power structures are fracturing. The traditional center that's held Europe together since World War II is crumbling. Far-right parties are gaining ground. and the person supposed to be steering the ship through these troubled waters just had her authority seriously undermined. Von der Leyen posted on social media after the vote, "In a moment of global volatility and unpredictability, the EU needs strength, vision, and the capacity to act." She's right about the need. Whether she can still deliver it, that's the billion-dollar question. The Pfizer text messages remain missing, the court cases continue, and Europe's most powerful woman, though still standing, isn't standing quite as tall as she was before. What do you think? Should politicians' text messages about billion-dollar deals be public record? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.